Good morning, students. Welcome in video lecture of electronic devices and circuits. In previous video lecture, we started with the unit number 1 as the JFET. In that previous video lecture, we discussed the topic as the introduction to basic electronics components, and from that topic, we discussed the some passive components. That means resistor, then capacitor, then inductor, right? And how that particular resistor it is there. Again, how it is that means what are the you can see that some sort of the concept about the types. Again, related to that particular resistance measurement and all that thing we are discussed one. Again, we discussed the capacitor, how it is there, what is its symbol, how it is constructed one, and its type, and how the capacitance it is considered under this capacitor. We discussed one. And last one, it is discussed one inductor. Then how it looks one, what exactly the inductor is there, what is its units, all these things we are discussed one. That means I'm again you can see that memorizing this particular thing to you people, so that you can consider this is the one kind of a recap. These things we are discussed in a previous one. Before starting that particular point, we discussed the exactly the what the semiconductor is there, material, semiconductor material is there. What is the exact in the conductor, and what is exactly insulator. With these things we discussed in a previous lecture, and now in this lecture we are continuing the same topic as the introduction to basic electronics components, having the next part as the active components. Okay. Before that, once again, I will summarize here the electronic circuit having the two kind of components, or two types of the components. One is the passive components, another is the active components. Passive component, just I said that capacitors, resistors, and inductors, etc. These are the passive components. Then active components like transistor, diode, you can say that ICs, LCDs, CRT, these comes under this particular active components. Now, whenever you are designing any electronic circuits, then you have to take some sort of the consideration by considering these particular electronics components. And these considerations are, first one is the basic electronics components which are needed to design these electronic circuits. And these components are the capacitors, resistors, diodes, transistors, etc. Right. Now, next point is the as consideration of this particular electronic electronic circuit design, the power source. That means by for the you can see that applying the energy to that particular circuitry. So, power source are the signal generators or DC power supplies. These are the power source are considered one. And next one is the, you can see that third one is the measurement and analysis of instruments. That means cathode ray oscilloscope or multimeters. These you can see that some sort of the measurement or analysis instruments are used whenever you are designing the electronic circuits. On cathode ray oscilloscope, you can see the output of that particular circuitry in the form of the waveforms, right? And according to your application, you can again troubleshoot the circuitry, and for that purpose, you can use this particular CR. Multimeters are mostly used to, you can say that measurement concept. Like you can see that I said that you can use the color code for that particular calculate the resistance, right? I said that. But by using multimeter also you can measure the resistance. You can check the whether that diode is working condition or not. It is shorted or open, whatever that thing. capacitor it is good or not, like that. You can test the transistor, and for that thing you can use the multimeters. So these three things are the some of the basic consideration while designing the electronic circuit. Okay, we'll move towards the next point as the active electronic components. See, it is said that active components, it might be in your mind, it comes that active means might be they are, you can see that themselves they are active one in that particular circuit, and they are developing that particular signal in the circuit. Okay, it is some sort of the right one, but these components rely on the source of energy, and they are control the electronics flow in that in them. Okay, in them. Okay, so these components are again made by the semiconductor material, and for example these active components are the, I said that diode, transistor, integrated circuits, some sort of the various displays like LCD, LED, CRTs, and power source like batteries, PVC cells, and other AC and DC supply source. If we are considering the that particular definition, uh, then it is said that active components are the device which acts like a source of energy, like for example battery. But the active components, as per the definition of some electronics engineers, those who are analyzing the circuit, the definition again they are defined in a different manner, like the devices which depends on the energy source and can introduce the power into the circuit. All right, which introduce the some sort of the, I said that signal, or they are giving in a different manner, they are producing that particular signal. So here it is considered as the power into the circuit, right? These devices are depends on the energy source. This is the definition which is made by the electronics engineers, those who are analyzing the electronics circuits, right? And for that understanding, if we consider the example of the diode, we are going to see that particular diode, but here for the example of that particular diode it is considered. See, whenever you are applying the voltage to the diode, it immediately it will not, you can see that conducting one. Whenever it's crosses its threshold voltage, then only it conducts that particular diode, or you can see that then only that current it is flowing through that particular diode, right? So it depends on that particular external energy, right? This is the, you can see that active, but see it is again, you can see that controls the flow of electrons. See, I said that in the example that whenever it crosses that particular threshold voltage, then it is conducting one. That means it is controlling the flow of electrons. But this thing, so this is the active components, whatever the definition with example. Now we'll see one by one these particular, as per the definition of the active components, we will see the that types of that particular active components. First is the diode, right? Diode is the two layer, two terminal, and having the single junction device which is made of by using the semiconductor material, right? And whatever that is having the two, you can see that layer, these layers are the P and N. These two layers are used one, right? And by considering the terminal point of view, it is having the two terminals as the anode and cathode, right? And these diodes are mostly used in a converting circuits, say like AC to DC converting and so on. If you are considering the LED, it is the light emitting diode, right? It is considering that particular electrical energy into the, you can say that light. Okay, like this, it is having the different types of the these particular diodes are there. So PN junction diode is there, Zener diode is there, LED is there, photodiode is there. These are the some of the types of this particular diode. In this slide, I shown the symbol of this particular LED and its how it exactly looks like one. So I shown here, for example, you can also consider this particular PN diode also, and Zener diode is also some kind of pairing, but it is having in a different, you can see that symbol, because in PN there is no arrow marks, that two arrows are there, no, which indicating the emitting light in this LED, but in PN it is not there, right? In Zener diode, that whatever the bar is there, it is again, these bars are again in a different you can see that fashion. So there are different symbols of these particular diodes, as well as the it looks in a different manner. Okay, so whenever we are going in that next topics, we will see that particular in detail of these particular things. Now, second type of this particular active component is the transistor. See, transistor, it is again a semiconductor made by the semiconductor material, but it is having the three terminals, three layers, and two junctions. From that two junctions, one junction for the faithful application, one junction it is made as the forward bias, and second is the reverse bias. And this is the consideration is there. We will see that in detail of this particular in next topics. And these transistors are mostly used in the switching devices and also used in the amplification purpose, right? This switching device can be a voltage or current controlled. Okay, depends on that. And by controlling the voltage applied to the one terminal, okay, control the current flow through the other two terminals. That means whenever you are applying the voltage to the one terminal, at that time that means the current which is flowing in the other two terminal, it can be controlled one, right? So this is the, you can see that main consideration of this particular transistor. Basically, the transistor, it has the mainly two types. One is the BJT and the second one is the FET. BJT, it is called as the bipolar junction transistor, and FET, it is again its long form is the field effect transistor. We will see, because our first unit is the field effect transistor. In that we will see the details about this particular FET. Now, by considering this particular transistor, it is again classified in the mainly two types. One is the PNP and another is the NPN. How you can see that material, that semiconductor material you are using to form the transistor, that means either you are using PNP type or NPN. It depends on the how you are fabricating that particular semiconductor material by using the N type and P type material, right? And depending on that, it is having the two types. In this slide, I shown the symbol of the exactly you can see the transistor, right? And how that transistor it looks like, that is also shown in this particular slide. And here this in this symbol, the emitter which is having the arrow mark inside, okay, that means towards the base, this kind of the symbol, it is the PNP type transistor. And another the symbol, it shows the arrow mark towards the emitter, that means base, from the base to emitter, that direction it is showing the arrow mark. It is called as the NPN type of the transistor, right? So this is the here transistor, which is second active electronics components and mostly important electronics component. Now, next is the active component is the integrated circuits. See, integrated circuits, that means this is the one of the component which is having the special component which is fabricated inside this particular IC with having the n number of, you can see that components like transistor, resistor, diodes, inductor, some electronics additional components which is having the tiny silicon chip, right? So and these all are fabricated in a single chip, and that chip it is called as the integrated circuit. See, large number of circuit it can be fabricated in a smaller chip, okay, by using these particular devices, and that smaller chip it is named as the integrated circuit, right? For example, today you are using the mobile phones, right? This mobile phone it is having the processor. That processor it is having the n number of components which is fabricated in that processor, and which is acting as the one kind of a integrated circuit, right? So this is the, you can see that. So it is said that these ICs are mainly used, normally used in electronics devices like cell phones, computers, and many more electronics devices, right? So that is the thing. These can be analog or digital integrated circuits, and it is using the mostly some electronic circuit like op amps, timers, comparators, some controlling, that means ICs are also considered, circuits are considered inside the ICs. Switching circuits is also considered in the ICs, like that. Okay, so on n number of applications are considered for that particular fabrication of the ICs. As per the, you can say that application, these ICs are classified as the linear and non-linear ICs. In this slide, I shown some sort of the symbol of that particular IC as well as the real IC, how it looks like one, right? And how it is represented. That all these things are shown in this particular slide. Okay. So ICs are also, you can see that nowadays in various applications, these ICs are considered one, which is minimizing the large circuit in a smaller size, and which is also minimizing the size of that particular, you can see that PCB, because for some application you are considering that particular PCB, right? And if you are using such a kind of ICs, then your circuit diagram it is again, you can see that you can design on that PCB in a smaller size. If suppose you are not using the IC, then you have to consider all the components on that particular PCB, right? So that this is the very important, you can see that component in a electronics system. Now LCD, right? Its name indicates that liquid crystal display. That means it displays the that particular, whatever the you are applying the signal, according to it displays that particular on the screen. So these are the flat displays technology, which mostly used in the devices like computer monitor, cell phone display, calculators, and so on. This technology uses the two polarized filters and electrodes for the selectively disable or enable the light to pass from the reflective backing to the eyes of the viewer, right? So I shown here one display which is this is the which is showing that this is a 2 into 16 line LED display, right? 2 into 16 line LED display, like that it is showing one, right? So like that, here n number of these kind of displays are considered one, small size, large size. Nowadays that particular CRT monitors are get replaced by this particular digital technology, which is considered LCD or LED type. That particular concept it is coming one, and due to that CRT type, that monitors are get replaced by this particular LCD. And due to this reason, this LCD component is it is a very important device nowadays. Now, just I discussed that CRT monitor. So here, cathode ray tube display technology is the mostly used in the television and computer screens. Okay, which works on the movement of the electronics beam back and forth on the back of the screen. Back of that means backside of that particular screen. That electronics beam it is, you can see that during the movement, and according to that screen it is displaying that particular, you can see that illuminating that particular screen. Now, and for that here electronics gun it is used one, and that electronics gun which is, you can see that passing the, you can see that electrons, and which is bombarding on that particular screen, right? So this is the CRT. Nowadays this CRT's place, it is taken, as just I said, that LCD or LED screens, right? And these, previously it was used in that particular, you can see that monitors, right? Television systems, like that it was used on. So here in this slide I shown that particular exactly structure of this particular CRT, which is having the electronic gun, some electrodes which are passing through that particular, okay, horizontal deflection plates and vertical deflection plates. According to that, that electrons are, again you can see that displayed on the screen, right? And that particular light, it is get illuminated on the screen. So this is the all about the CRT. Now next important, you can say that active component is the batteries, which is you can see say that used as the power source in the circuitry. So here it is said that batteries are common power source which are standalone one, and used in the industries or domestic and handheld applications, right? Which these particular batteries are converting chemical energy into electrical energy through electrochemical discharge reaction. Okay, it consists one or more cells, and each cell contain anode and cathode and electrolyte to supply that particular, or to pass that particular electrical energy, right? These battery cells are classified in the two types. One is the primary and secondary. Primary are not rechargeable one. They once they are discharged one, they are not used one. But the secondaries are the rechargeable types, that particular batteries are there, which are mostly used in that particular, you can see that, like your mobile phones. Okay, these are again rechargeable batteries having that particular mobile phones. Okay, once the energy get discharged one, again you can charge by the using the power source. Okay, so batteries are also important components in the many electronics devices, which are you can see that that devices are operated on that particular batteries. Okay, so these are the, these you can say that some of the I explained here some of the components. Likewise, there are some, again active components are there, but main components are these one, and these components are helped to develop that particular electronic circuits as per the consideration of that particular application. And if I want to say about the today's technology, then by using these components and the today's technology concept, the whatever the devices are developed one, okay, they are having the, you can see that high level upgraded version of that particular devices are available in the, you can see that in market or throughout the world, because there is the research, tremendous research it is done on these particular components, and the size of that components is also made very small, but the function of that components is remain as per that particular application and all that thing. Power consumption is also minimized one, and which is work, which is used to work on that particular application, right? So as the technology it is invention, it is done for that particular technology, then the upgradation of that particular device it is done one. And if the technology invention and the upgradation it is done one, then again there is a change in that particular, you can see that devices, right, which is you, which are used in this particular application. So it is said that for every that particular 9 month or 1 year, that particular capacity as well as the speed of that particular system, it is get increased. Or why? It is again due to these particular devices invention. Research work it is done on these particular devices. See, for example, I am giving here, I said that every 9 months there is a change in the, or upgradation in that particular, you can see that devices. See, previously we are working, we are using the P3, P4 computers. Nowadays we are using the i3, i5, i7 computers, right, which are having the capacity to handle the more than 2 or 3 applications. At a time they can handle one. Likewise, the invention it is done in that particular processor. If you are considering the capacity, take the example of your memory. That means you are calling it as the pen drive. Previously, it is very small capacity. It is having very small. It comes in the 8 MB, then 16 MB, then 32 MB, then 64. But nowadays, it is in the form of the MB. But nowadays, it comes in the form of the GB up to terabyte that pen drive capacity it is developable. Why it is happened? Because the research work it is done in these particular components. And by using that research work, this is the development of the technology it is done. So we'll see that particular thing, how the applications are using these components and all that thing. Okay, might be I will again come with the another video lecture with the some sort of the application of the electronic devices and how it is developed one and all that thing. Might be I will come with that particular thing. So if you are having any doubt related to these particular components or you want to know more about these components, you can ask me anytime. I will explain all that thing in a detail. So thank you guys. Take care and study well. Thank you.